Welcome, Grimdark enjoyers. We're back with another Grimdark therapy on the channel. I'm joined by Maka of the Outer Circle and North of Northern Exile. How you guys doing?
Hello. Hello. Oh, good,
I
man.
am alive, slightly cooked, but fine.
Oh yeah, it's way hot where you are compared to where I
And
am.
way cold where you are.
Yeah, it's crazy. A complete inversion.
We
hmm
were laughing about it literally 30 seconds ago. So
hmm
The topic for this one is I thought it'd be fun, with at the time, we just turned the page to a new year, and the uh, Games Workshop seems to be starting its swing into the end of edition campaign arc that always happens with these latest editions of 40K. And I thought it might be fun to sort of recap, take a trip down memory lane, but not just poo poo and dump on GW's handling of the lore, but also suggest perhaps suggestions of how we would approach these same premises, right? And I think there is a bit of creativity to be gained from that kind of constraint, where you can't change the premise entirely. These things still have to happen, but perhaps there is a better way. And I'm kind of tickled by the premise because I think we might be able to come up with some pretty satisfying takes on the new 40K lore as it is. I've shared with Maka and North the rough outline I have on screen. So we're going to go through these points in some fashion. We'll weave our way through them, taking twists and turns, I'm sure. And hopefully by the end, we'll have a pretty interesting set of premises on all the different concepts Games Workshop has sold us on over the lifespan of new 40K. That's what I've been
Yeah.
calling it. Basically, end of seventh onward is new 40K. Is kind of how I'm
This is
framing it.
just a list of things Games Workshop have introduced and then elected to ignore. So this is where we are. This is what this
well
is.
I did that video and I call this the nostalgia era for
Yes.
40k.
hmm
Because you had the revolution era, like that 2016, like the Wrath of Magnus and the Gathering Storm, where it's like,
Mm.
oh, the plotline is moving forward. And then since then, it's just been remember thing, and I briefly looked at the image you sent through, but I'm gonna bet that everything in there is remember thing. I'm just gonna bet that now,
Well,
but we'll see. We'll see.
yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of that. I saw your video and I appreciated the chart, and I do believe that is a fairly accurate take. It's very much in agreement with how you broke that down. But I guess we can
More or less
start
accurate.
in. Yeah, yeah. But if you guys are ready to get this party started, we can start with
Please,
everyone's
let's go.
favorite turning of the wheel, Gathering Storm. Uh, Before we get into the points I've broken down here, I figure we're going to talk about Cadia Falls, how the Great Rift splits the galaxy, Gilliman's return, the Yanari, maybe, and then the Ultima Founding. And I think there are some low-hanging fruit, low-hanging fruits as they were, with regards to like things we could suggest for how to change these. I think we might have even spoken to some of these concepts in prior conversations. So if there's anything that we've already dwelt on too much, we can, you know, we'll play it by ear.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I think I said before we went on air that this is probably the bit where I would have most to talk about because um well I sold this. I
Right.
sold it. This is my thing. Like I still remember it coming in and us being sat down and told, okay, here's the plan, and you have no idea how difficult it is to be told Gilliman's coming back in like October, and it's announced near enough the end of the year, like like a January start of the next year. I was like, okay, got to keep this quiet. So you come away from training and you go into your store and they're all like, "Oh, this is great riff. I wonder if anything's going to go on." You're like, you're just like, hmm. Um, so yeah, you were basically told
Right. That's funny.
to expect the Ultramarines at some point. Uh, the one thing I found really interesting is when we were looking at the Great Rift and we were looking at Cadia Falls and all the things that were going to come out at the end of 7th edition, we were essentially looking around the room, me and a friend of mine, and a lot of the other managers didn't know quite how to sell Cadia Falls. And the main reason was that there are no Ultramarines. Like, that was the main reason. They were like, well, there's no Ultramarines. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, this is unsellable. Like, we can't sell this. And it's like, well, you know, so yeah, that was the main surprising thing about the whole situation. Wasn't very popular with staff, I would say, simply because of that reason. Like, they didn't have know much how to do it. Introduction games sort of ground to a halt because as soon as Cadia Falls came out, everybody knew there would be a new starter edition coming out. So Dark Vengeance just stopped selling because, number one, it was a terrible, terrible set anyway. Do you want to do Dark Angels? No? Oh, you're screwed then. I see ya. And, of course, introduction games kind of stalled because then you're not selling it and people don't want to buy it. In terms of what it was, like I really liked the book, Cadia, like the 3 books. I really liked them. The Gathering Storm. I thought they were okay. Like for when we were there, we went something to read. I will have a. The problem with Cadia with the Gathering Storm was not what they did, but it was what came after. Cadia falling is fine. I mean, it kind of makes sense finally that it goes away. Okay, fair enough. Great Rift, okay, right. Bit on the nose, but okay. Gilliman's return didn't need to happen. Ynnari was left in the dust, never touched again. And even the Ynnari storyline was just bonkers. That even reading it, you knew, reading it was going nowhere because they were playing with things that were way above their ken, right? If you let Ynnari win, that's the setting is over. As soon as they start playing with toys that large, that sounds wrong, but as soon as they start playing with toys that large, you know nothing's happening. You know that's going to go away. As soon as you see Clone Fulgrim, you know that's not going to affect the storyline anyway. That's going in the cupboard and it's staying there. And the Ultima Founding, of course, came a bit later on, and we didn't. I don't think that was part of Gathering Storm. I think that came in 8th edition. I think you should probably move that towards 8th edition because it's not.
Oh yeah. Fair point.
Yeah.
Good catch. I'll move that around.
Because we didn't really have much of an idea. We knew they were going to update certain kits. They never told us they were going to do Primaris. The way we found out was that they sent us the 8th edition box set, like 1 copy of it, to the store about 3 months before it was even announced. It was like, what's this? They're like, big letter on it saying, do not put out, only open this in the office upstairs. Don't, I said we could do that. And of course, me and the staff took it home because, we're naughty. And we had a little read through and didn't touch the models, but like had a read. Perks though, one of them. And yeah, that's basically my opinion. Like I weirdly have a fondness for Gathering Storm mainly because I sold it most. Like it was like something that flew off the shelves, and I saw the passion that this jaded fan base, and it was jaded because our manager was awful. The passion they came back into it with, saying, "Okay, things are changing. Okay, this is cool," and it was still grimdark because the Imperium was losing, and the one big bugbear of Cadia Falling that I hated was that Abaddon again fought 2 people. They agreed to go their separate ways, nodded at each other, and then walked off in separate. Just shut up. So yeah, what does everyone else think about Gathering Storm? I again, I've got nostalgia for it, I suppose, as Mako was just saying.
I guess I recall a conversation I've had with Maka. I think it was on one of our channels where we went into like beat by beat of Gathering Storm, and there was a lot of grievances Maka brought. So maybe I'll save him for last on the Gathering Storm. I have a few suggestions and tweaks for what I would have liked to have happened as an consequence from Gathering Storm on several of these points, and I'm framing it in a sort of different way than how you are. So maybe there's some interesting conversation to be had around that. But
Mhm.
I agree with what you're saying. I think that it feels grimdark. It feels like the Imperium is losing conceptually, right? Like those first 2 points here, Cadia falling and the Great Rift, feels like big wins for Chaos, right? Like finally, Abaddon's getting some respect on his name. He's feeling like the big bad boogeyman of the 40k universe, right? What I would have liked from those 2 points is, and this might be a little bit provocative, but I would have liked for after Cadia falls, for Cadia, the regiment, to no longer be the face of the Imperial Guard, the poster boys of the Imperial Guard. I would prefer, from that point onward, we have Krieg as our poster boy regiment. I think that mimics a kind of loss in a metatextual sense, right? Because, the Cade is destroyed. It's no longer what it was, right? They're no longer the bastion of hope, the bulwark of humanity. And now we've shifted to a cult of sacrifice, a cult of martyrdom with Krieg. And aesthetically, I think Krieg actually makes for a much better representation of the grimdark army that you think of when you think of 40k. And for the Great Rift, I I think it's fine how it's split in half, but I think you just want some tangible mentions that this is Abaddon winning. This is what that looks like. This is the product of 40k up to this point. He can, do what Thanos does after his snap. He can take a seat on his throne or whatever and feel kind of good about what he's done. I would like a moment of satisfaction given to Abaddon for having done this. And I would prefer for that Imperium Nihilus, that dark side of the rift, to actually be divided and kind of distributed into like these little fiefdoms of different empires, right? Like Huron Blackheart can have his sector. All the different traitor legions would have their sector or sectors, right? Some greater than others, depending on the characterization and aims of those relevant primarchs or legions. I would have liked some, for lack of a better word, some tangibility on what Imperium Nihilus means for Chaos. Because right now it's split in half, and it doesn't really feel like it's split in half.
No, I get that. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. It doesn't feel that way at all. It feels like it was nothing's really changed, and the whole place just feels like it's. There was more impending doom when the Great Rift wasn't there, which is weird.
Yeah.
Like I felt like things were a minute to midnight before the Great Rift was there. That's gone, which is very strange. But yeah.
What do you think, Maka, of the Cadia Falls and Great Rift points? Do you have any suggestions, or what's your take? What would you have liked to have seen?
I've referenced it before, but there's that great panel on writing that Matt Stone from South Park and Trey Parker ran, and in there they talk about the natural flow of events. Like you write a book from front to back, not from back to front. Like this happens, which then naturally leads to this, which causes this, and it's a cause and effect. Whereas a lot of modern literature and media is, oh, wouldn't this be cool? And wouldn't this be cool? And wouldn't this be cool? Now we need to chain these things together. And that's how the Gathering Storm reads to me. There are beats that they obviously want to hit, and then they've just turned around and gone, look, just get some fluff that gets us from point A to point B. And I consider the Gathering Storm to be pretty irredeemable because of the swing and a miss of it as a series. If I were rewriting, well, I mean, there's a lot of things I want to say at once, and my poor brain is just like, where do I begin? So, if I wanted to make the gameplay elements and the narrative flow better, I would have had Abaddon try to blow up Cadia using the Blackstone Fortresses or the Planet Killer, because in any case they're channeling warp energy, right? You fire it at Cadia. Oh, hang on a minute. It's dissipated like hitting a void shield over the Necron pylons. And so it becomes a ground campaign fought around those pylons, with Abaddon's forces trying to take them down versus Abaddon having to just crash a fucking Blackstone fortress into the planet to destroy Cadia, which is dumb because he wins. But if every win he has is a Pyrrhic victory, it's not really like he's not really a threat because he hasn't really broken out. You know,
Yep.
he hasn't. You know, this is not like the German army in 1914. You know, blazing through Belgium and into France. You know, sweeping around towards Paris. No, this is like cool. This is more like Verdun. Like, okay, you captured Fort Douaumont at the start of the fighting. Now what? You know, you're stuck there. You haven't progressed anywhere. There's no real change as a consequence. So there needs to be an actual like chaos needs to be a proper threat. They need to actually be actively expanding outwards from the Eye of Terror. Whereas the Eye of Terror, like you can say that the Cicatrix Maledictum has had an impact on the galaxy, but the impact it has is no worse than what we've had before when it comes to chaos raids and demons and things like that, relatively speaking. So in that regard, it's quite silly. And as a narrative, like Gennari, it adds nothing to the storyline because it doesn't help Cadia in the end. Cadia falling doesn't add anything to the storyline because the Imperial Guard regiments are all just Cadian pattern anyway. We've got fucking Creed's granddaughter, for crying out loud. So the old bloke got out of there and got a fucking shot off, you know, at the same time. So like, you know, none of that mattered. In fact, the only person who's worse off from this, like the Imperium lost a planet out of all their planets, it doesn't seem to mean anything because chaos is still contained. You know, it's not like they're striking at Terra. You know, they're not taking out any like major chapter worlds, even though there are plenty nearby. You've got what Caliban is bloody close. So, or the ruins of Caliban, the rock. What else have you got in that area? You've got the Fenris is pretty close to the Eye of Terror.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's like another couple of chapters that are in that sort of part of the galaxy as well. Like, isn't Medusa nearby? So, like, none of it mattered. And if it didn't matter, then what's the point of making it a story? It's just nothing to give a shit about. And as for the resurrection of Gilliman, how Call is on Cadia, and then they go through an Eldar Webway gate and end up at an Ultramarines planet in another part of Ultramar, thanks to the Webway gate. And then they're on this planet, and an Ultramarines unit just happens to be on the planet, and then they give them a ship to transport them, and they get to Macragge. And when they get to Macragge is under siege by the Black Legion, and they get through the siege, and then Tigris vouches for them, and Marnis Kelgar is against them, but Marnis Kelgar is caught up trying to repel the Black Legion assault. So the team goes into Gilliman's chamber where he's in stasis, and Belisarius Call is like, I've actually got this armor and shit to revive Gilliman. Oh, but it won't actually revive him. And then the Eldar are like, oh, but don't worry, like, we can revive him. We just need to sacrifice people. And the Ultramarines are all like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, a Black Legion Thunderhawk crashes through the wall. They kill the Black Legionnaires. That creates the death that's needed for the sacrifices to bring Gilliman back to life. So Gilliman comes back to life, and then Call puts the armor on Gilliman to keep him alive. It's really weird how all this like works. He just had that on him. He keeps it in a Pokeball on his belt, like just in case you need Gilliman's armor, you just have it. And it also was Gilliman of all people that tasked Call with the job to, you know, do, because Call didn't have a fucking clue he was gonna, you know, wake up one Monday morning and then go to Cadia, deal with Necrons, deal with a Chaos invasion, get caught up with some Eldar, go through the Webway, end up catching a ride to Macragge, and then end up sacrificing a bunch of Black Legionaries with some Eldar of a Death God in the throne room where Gilliman is in stasis, and just like, oh fuck, here's my Gilliman armor. Yeah, I bought that along. Hey, like, no, irredeemably bad fucking story. So, and how do you fix Revival Gilliman? There is a device that is in the Horus Heresy. It's used by the Shattered Legions. The Iron Hands, Ferrus Manus himself found it on Medusa. It is a spider-like robotic device that was left behind from Dark Age of Technology era, and it can heal people, like sutures up their wounds and heals their organs while they're in stasis. This thing can work inside a stasis field. And it's like you just bring that bit of tech back in. That's something that plausibly Belisarius Core has, and then you use that to heal Guilliman in stasis. That way you can cut out the entire Eldar subplot with something that's already established in the books by this point in time, and that device there actually has a payoff to it instead of it just being in like a couple of Horus Heresy novels and it's just forgotten about. So, and then obviously, so that's the revival of Guilliman, but then he's got to go to Terra. So to go to Terra, they're going from Macragge, but end up getting stuck in the Maelstrom because Tzeentchian bullshittery. And then they get overpowered by the Red Corsairs, who manage to imprison a fucking Primarch. And then Cypher breaks them out of jail. They go through a webway gate and end up on the moon, which apparently the moon also has a webway gate. And then the Thousand Sons ambush them through the same webway gate on the moon. And then the Sisters of Silence and Custodes, none of whom are mentioned as female at this point in time, meet them on the moon and then fight with Guilliman. Fight like with Guilliman alongside him. That is, not fight with him. To repulse Magnus the Red Demon Primarch against sick, just woke up out of stasis, suffering from venom still Guilliman. Apparently, like Magnus just couldn't beat him. He's just, I'm too weak. And then he goes down to Terra, and then we're all told by Call that he's completed what we find out to be the Primaris project. Yeah, what do you do with that? It's just terrible.
It's a mess.
Every fucking level.
Yeah. It's terrible. It's hard.
Like when you say it out loud, like when you're reading it, you're like, okay. But then when you like sit down, you actually plot it out, you just, it's fucking awful. Irredeemable.
Yeah, it comes across a bit like dare I say, like Rise of Skywalker. It's just like a whole bunch of things they need to have happen to get an outcome they specifically want. And it's like the very, very much like square peg round hole.
He has to hold up the Emperor's sword and align it perfectly with the ruins of the Emperor's Gloriana class battleship, and it will guide him to the throne room. It's just some bullshit like that.
Yeah. Like I would have.
Yeah, irredeemable.
I don't contest that at all. The armor of fate for Guilliman is the least of the problems there, but
it doesn't even look like power armor. Shit like that also breaks the immersion in the universe.
Right, like
like if you do the blind taste test. I'm sorry, I'm taking up all the airtime, but if you show a picture of a squad of Ultramarines, Guilliman in that armor, and a squad of Thousand Sons, and you show it to a blind audience who don't know 40k, they all think Guilliman is with the Thousand Sons because his armor's covered in twirly gold and shit, and he's painted in a much brighter teal as well. Which, paint jobs aside, but the armor doesn't look like it should. He should look Romanesque in his armor.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, he's just in like this weirdly tiny waisted, long-legged, gangly proportions. He's just a total fucking Gumby, and it's just shit. The model's shit. The whole thing's irredeemable. Like, I hate it so much. It's just like it was the warning that like bad things that had come.
Oh, I don't disagree. It's not a great aesthetic. It doesn't read as Ultramarines. It's all very fair points. From a narrative point of view... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, but from a narrative point of view, it's very easy to clean the story up.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy. Like I said, you got the device that can heal people in stasis. It's already set up in prior novels. Use that. It brings back some heresy tech, which is perfect for a Primarch era. And with Cadia, it's like you can have the Necron pylons, but actually have the Chaos Marines win on the ground. Like, it's okay for Space Marines to overcome the Imperial Guard. This may be a shocking thing, and if you leave out the Eldar subplot, it doesn't actually change anything in the universe. So it's actually a very easy narrative to clean up when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you
So
remove the Eldar
it's
for
just,
sure.
yeah, it just feels like there was a page count tied to these events must happen.
Yeah.
And so the author was just like, Cypher comes back. Yes, Grandmaster Voldus. Hey, North, you're a Grey Knight fan. How many times has Voldus been mentioned since Gathering Storm? What's he up to? I bet he's up to a lot.
You know what else?
Don't even. Yeah.
No, I was going to mention an interesting point also. Just, it really feels, it's pretty obvious with benefit of hindsight that all of those messy threads you've mentioned as part of Gathering Storm, all the way back to Gilliman returning to Terra, it's pretty clear that it feels that there was some mandate, or someone made the executive decision. I don't know if it came from top down or bottom up, but it must all be connected, is how it feels. And because it must all be connected, and now you have to have the Elder, you have to have Call, you have to have Voldus, you have to have Cypher, it's a mess. I think if you...
One thing
Go ahead.
I need to point out is this is the if you okay if anyone watching this thinks okay well things will get better as we go along, this is as good as it's going to get. Because for all of this is why I started being nostalgic rather than, oh, you know what, it's bad, but it's not like terrible, it's not like the worst thing, because it's only going to get worse from here. Like, okay, in the Arcs of Omen, we'll get into that later, but they literally, this is Games Workshop at least trying to do something. Arcs of Omen is Games Workshop just completely fucking giving up and being like, do you know what? There's a thing. What's it called? The key. What does the key do? It goes into the lock. All right. And what's inside the lock? What's inside that? A device. What does it do? Ends the Imperium. How? I'm not telling you. Fuck that. Like literally, they wrote that on a whiteboard. I went, you know what? Let's just run with that. They're all retards. They're not gonna. It's fine. Right. At least Gathering Storm is them attempting to do that. They fail, and it's terrible, not very good, but they're trying to do something. You can see that they're trying to tell a story. They're not very good at it, but the heart's there. That's my
No, that's I can't help but laugh, but that's a fair point. That's a very fair...
they're trying. This is a story written by somebody who
it's a try.
It's just very, very, very stupid.
Yeah, I can't concede that compared to what's to follow.
Yeah, they just gave up. The mask came off later on. They said, "Well, you didn't like Gathering Storm, you didn't like Psychic Awakening, so fuck you. Here's the Arcs of Omen." And you know what? People ate it up, and all of these lore channels who did I did certain videos on it, and I was just lambasting the names of things and what was actually happening in the campaign. And we'll get to it later on, but Jesus, they just gave up. They just went, why are we bothering with these people? Just write something, throw it out, who cares? That kind of a thing. I'd rather have Gathering Storm fail, honestly, just because they're not very good at it, than them literally take the piss out of me for this 45 quid book that I just bought, that kind of a thing. I don't know.
No, you've convinced me on that.
I'd rather have better stuff like what Maka was talking
about.
Oh,
for sure.
I'd rather have that.
Yeah, you'd rather have it be good.
Yeah, but this at least is a step up from we openly have contempt for you and we're not even going to try. Like that's where I draw the line,
Yeah, so you've got all these events that happen. I liken the Gathering Storm to the last season of Game of Thrones. Like the fall of Cadia is the siege of Winterfell. Like it's that dumb shit is happening. Oh, I guess none of it actually means anything in the end. It's just such a letdown, especially considering it's a book that they imposed on themselves there is no time constraint for when they release the content they want as a company. So they could have actually sat down and really nutted out a story. They could have got all of the brightest minds in the company working on it, like said to all the guys working on the Horus Heresy, like, hey, here's what we're thinking for a story. To like Dan Abnett and all those guys, Graham McNeil, like, all their best writers. Go, what do you think? What do you think, guys? And then just like, they probably could have spitballed out something in a single brainstorming session, and then they could have just turned around to the junior writer who gets given the job in the end and just said, okay, make that happen. It's the lack of care that goes into it that astounds me. Like you say that it shows that they care. I think it's the opposite. It shows them going, hey, we only care enough to actually try and attempt to say why these new models exist. And that is it. Because nothing matters. Nothing actually means anything. Nothing is paid off by this return.
Yeah, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree. Is there anything left in the Gathering Storm section, or shall we shift over to 8th edition? The 8th edition
I think that's
section.
pretty neat. That's pretty neat. I think we.
I would just say the Great Rift probably needs to be covered now because it's.
Oh yeah, what do you want to speak to on that?
So the Great Rift, I mentioned before, like maps, and I love maps. It's like now there is the Great Rift, and the galaxy split in half. And people, but you don't understand. Like Imperium struggles to move, troops and stuff around, and like they did anyway. That was a huge cornerstone of what made 40k so grimdark. Like regiments arriving centuries after conflicts are already over, and coming across like dead worlds that can't be saved. Like they're just barren wastelands, or people missing the Horus Heresy entirely, and it's like, that is commonplace. So, like, you can't move your soldiers around to areas they might be needed, or you might not hear of a planet that's falling and needs your help. Yeah, that's par for the course with 40k. It has been for 40 years. What else you got? Oh, well, it's demons just randomly appearing out of warp storms, which is exactly how demons have always appeared in every edition. Unless there's a chaos cult who's summoning them, they always just appeared from like random warp storms. There was stories in the codexes of just like one day the citizens woke up to see like a purple nebula in the sky, and then fucking demons came out of it with their planet, and just shit got real. It just happened. So that hasn't changed. It's like, okay, well, people now fleeing and refugees, and they try and petition the High Lords for help, and it takes forever because the Cicatrix melted. It's like, there are people who spend their entire lives in a line to meet people at the Adeptus Ministratum on Terra. Like, there's stories about that. People spend like 60 years straight in a queue at the equivalent of like a government department, like, the DVA,
the DMV,
yeah, whatever your different countries have. So it's like, all that is par for the course, right? So the Imperium, it's really just business as usual. Because, like, you're not going to say, like, the Imperium has big coordinated efforts hampered by the Cicatrix Malediction. Imperium has not been good at big coordinated efforts since the Primarchs left. Since the time of the Heresy. Because the Imperium, under the Codex reforms, broke everything down so they couldn't get together to make big honkin' stonkin' crusades as, groups of chapters and such working together, because that was considered to be a bad thing if they all got together, because if they then went traitor, you now have a bunch of chapters that have gone traitor at once. It's the whole reason why they tried to, break them down into chapters in the first place, is to break the legions apart so you didn't have 100,000 Marines turn them rogue at once. So, things like Armageddon, when it gets real in Armageddon, it's not like day one, the Dark Angels, the Blood Angels, all head to Armageddon. It's like, it's not until shit gets really bad, and then eventually maybe they hear of something on the grapevine, and you get things like Vrax, where like the Dark Angels hear there's a Fallen around, so they come, fight as long as they need to get this Fallen guy, and then they just fuck off and leave the shit show behind. So like,
dude, I hate that. I hate that so much.
It doesn't. Yeah,
it's terrible.
But it doesn't matter, right? Like,
yeah. No, it's so everything's
like,
business as usual.
Yeah, the Cicatrix Malediction, people are like, oh, it's really hard to like move through the warp now. You're like, it was always fucking hard. That was the whole problem with the warp. Like, by the way, like, it's easy to take a wrong turn, and demons will eat you. So, oopsies. Like, that's always been a fucking thing. So realistically, no difference to the setting, no matter how much. And when it first happened, people like were pounding the fucking desks like fucking Hitler in the bunker in 45 when I first bought this up. When 8th edition first dropped, I said, this is all a shit show and here's why. I've been making these arguments for 10 years now. Can we call me right yet? Heck me. Like, I think I'm right at this point. Surely.
No, you've been
It's
proven
like,
right,
like,
100%.
I don't understand. It changes everything. You know, it changes nothing.
No, the thing is, it should change everything. The problem is, it doesn't, right? It's like
That's the issue.
It was people, and again, I'll use Star Wars as the example here. It was the audience turning around on behalf of the company and going, "Don't worry, it will get explained later." Why did Rey beat Kylo in the lightsaber fight? Don't worry, it'll get explained later. She's probably Luke's daughter. It was probably Obi-Wan's daughter. She probably, no, explain it now.
Yeah,
Explain your bullshit now. Or if you're not going to explain it, give whatever you've got to give me now has to be satisfactory. It can't just be like some bullshit happens and then it's just like, okay, now don't ask any questions, consume product. And unfortunately, the fans have done a lot of consuming product, just like trying to come up like, oh no, don't worry, like the Gilliman coming back to life, it's going to have all these ramifications and and no, it didn't, like, yeah.
No, it's hard to refute anything that you laid out. It's speaking to what we mentioned earlier, right? Like if the galaxy was split and then Chaos took dominion, not entirely, there's infighting and all this kind of stuff, but the point is the Imperium has no hold on this sector, and it really is a realm of chaos in a sense, right? Where there's no stability in that sense, chaos. I think you could have, and if the lore since the Great Rift, since 8th edition, really fleshed that out, then I think we'd be talking differently about it. But because we really haven't, right? Like, I noted Devastation of Baal here because I have a special amount of hatred for that book. But that's like an excellent example of an Imperial world that just cannot die, despite being on the opposite side of the Rift. Which we'll get to later.
If that rift had have spread out across, like, if you got like with a white map, for example, and it's spread out from like Cadia across to Mordian, across the Gothic sector towards Valhalla, and then up to like the Malefactus and the top right and the Ghoul Stars, and that was the path that the storms took, and it was like, holy shit, the Eye of Terror has just expanded and just started swallowing up these planets, or they're surrounded by warp storms, and now like Chaos is actually like slowly taking over physically this huge chunk of the galaxy, right? None of your big name chapter like home planets are really affected by that, right? Like, it's just north of Baal, just north of Fenris, and it's like, so you can draw like a line from Cadia straight across to the Ghoul Stars, and it's like that can be like an area that's all eaten up by chaos, and then you can basically say that like, hey, instead of like this zigzaggy line going from like north, from like Cadia across to the Scourge Stars and the Tau Empire for some reason, it instead goes across the north of the galaxy. It's like, hey, they've physically taken over this part of the old galaxy. So it shows like on those old World War II maps, and it shows like, the German gains in Russia in 1941, it's like that. Like, you can physically see it on the map, like they've gained all of these planets. It's like, then the threat then becomes that storm starting to move south and threatening Baal, and threatening Fenris and threatening Armageddon. And it's like the fight is to try and hold that tide back. Like, that's an actual physical wall across the galaxy moving towards you. And I think that's a bigger threat, or a better way of writing that threat, if you have to go down this route.
You know what? You convinced me. I think that is preferable. At first I was thinking, well, that doesn't feel as good because they have less territory, right? But right now, the half of the galaxy that's split isn't really chaos territory to begin with, right? If you give them a...
if you want to... Yeah. You should be taking this and going in a direction of we need enclaves now. We need parts of the Imperium that are just gone, that are just there, but they're fighting but they're not a part of the Imperium anymore. That kind of a thing. That's kind of what we need, rather than just everything's business as usual. It's. I said it the other day in a video. Games Workshop like to have their cake and eat it. They like everything to change, but nothing to change. Like they'll convince you, oh, well, this big thing. No.
Yeah, everything's happening, but nothing happens. Yeah.
Yeah, we like it. Nothing's really. People say, oh, well, isn't it great that the setting's moving forward? It isn't.
I was one of those people. At one point, I thought it is moving. Like right when 8th edition happened, I was on that bandwagon. I was like, oh, look, it's so exciting. Everything is moving and shifting. And lo and behold, like nothing. Okay. Shall we move off of Gathering Storm 7th End campaign? All right, so... Oh, go ahead, Maka.
No, please move on. I've set it up. All the bad stuff stems from this. These decisions made now, right here, cause everything that's to come.
Right, so in 8th edition, moving past Gathering Storm, the 4 major lore points that I could recall were the Ultima Founding, which is technically sprung forth from Gilliman's Return and Gathering Storm. It was all set in motion, you see. We have Plague War, which the timeline's a bit fucked, right? Because, well, Games Workshop, for one, doesn't care. This is a total tangent. Games Workshop loves to lean on this idea that, like, oh, the time is fickle with the warp. You never know when anything is happening, right? I believe Plague War was supposed to be after the Indomitus Crusade, and I think during 9th edition it was retconned to happen much sooner into the Indomitus Crusade, so it's sometime during. It doesn't exactly matter. The Plague War is here really. Like, this timeline is really with respect to how things are positioned when we learn of these events as fans, like, looking into the universe. But after Plague War, then Vigilus is part of 8th edition, because that was a short mini campaign during 8th edition, and then we have Psychic Awakening, the end of edition campaign, where there's a whole bunch of small, lame stories, like, Ragnar Blackmane killing Gazgul is one that comes to mind. But Devastation of Baal is one I particularly wanted to share some grievances on. But for the Ultima Founding, it's a topic that everyone's spoken to death, really, Primaris, right? But I think we would all be in agreement to just have Primaris Mark 10 armor just be Mark 10 armor. Don't shoehorn in better Marines to just sell product, right?
That's been my take from day one.
Yep.
It should have, even when I was selling this shit, I was like, this should just be a new mark of armor.
Yeah, that's the easiest to fix, I think. You just say, oh, look.
So, well, the different sizes, the models, shut up, you fucking moron.
Scale changes.
No one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares. Yeah, literally no one cares. Like, that is the flimsiest excuse to just have a bullshit lore insertion that you don't need.
It's purely there to push product, right? Like those kind of justifications, like get out.
Well, you make Mark 9 the Corvus style armor of Primaris, and Mark 10 be Primaris. Like, done, finished.
North. You can take that one step further and go, hey, Reaver armor. Why didn't you make that your Recon Mark 9?
Yeah, could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, obvious, and change it slightly. The jeggings is fucking stupid, like how it's got like ankles in the calves. Like, oh, what's the opposite thing to big chunky legs? Oh, get rid of the chunkiness of the leg altogether. No. Just they could have just done a slimmed down version of the Primaris armor with new beaky helms, and it would have been better for it, and made that their recon armor.
And have all of their veterans come with lightning claws built in, whatever. Cool.
Yeah, whatever.
Jetpacks, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, have shoots, whatever you want.
Yeah,
that makes sense, Mackie. You can't do that. Sorry. That's
Unauthorized discharge of logic. You have been fined 4 demerit points.
Yeah. No, it's cool. You see, he jizzed into a bottle and then made all of these extra Space Marines, and it took him 10,000 years to do so. Don't ask how it works. Consume models. That's where we are.
Oh, very much so. Like, all these lore points it's not exactly related, but it's a little disheartening that every single update to lore is based around some kind of product. Like there's even novels. It's like rarely not related to something that's
Mm.
a physical good. I know Mac has made this point before, where it's like you never have aspects or elements of Space Marines spoken about realistically in these novels. It's always the full name of the product you can purchase on the gamesworkshop.com is how it's written oftentimes,
Mm.
right? So there's a bit of that trickling into this list of lore points as we go through. It's
But I
sort of
think
the nature
you
of the
could have done that
beast.
with. They could have done that with Mark 10. They could have said, "Yeah, you can buy this on." I wouldn't change. You can still have your little marketing books that are not really books. Um, you know, I don't know. They just,
The,
mind
the, the,
boggles.
the Plague Wars themselves is like really just Mortarion comes back and then like random planets, the people get sick, and when Gilliman goes and visits them, they get less sick.
Don't say it like
Mm.
that.
And then when he leaves, they get sick again. And when he goes back, they get less sick again. And then he realizes this is all just a delaying tactic to slow him down, and he will leave them to be sick. So it's, I guess, Nurgle can just make whole planets sick on a whim. Like, it doesn't actually have to be spread from planet to planet. They just get sick because reasons. And because, like, it makes sense if you actually have a proper setup to like Nurgle cults establishing on all of these planets and causing these plagues, but it doesn't really set it up like that. It's more like it's just a side effect of like, because Mortarion's in the area, planets just randomly come down with the case of the whooping cough. So
Yeah, his viral particles travel through space and your atmosphere, and then you get
yes,
sick.
the fact that I have to like think back to what Plague War actually was, and then it's like never referenced again. Like, those planets are still sick, are they? I guess maybe they're still in lockdown, um, still wearing fucking face masks. I guess I don't fucking know. So like, didn't matter. It's
Mm.
once more.
Yeah, not.
You remember Mortarion, everyone? Like, this is why I call it the nostalgia area. Do you remember Mortarion? Remember Typhus?
Here he is, a new model, and in a short side story. Well, in this case, a
Yeah,
series of
the
novels.
fact that
But
we got sidetracked by like the Primaris Marines and didn't even talk about the Plague War tells you everything you need to know about the Plague War. It was a starter box. That's why it existed, to be a starter box.
yeah, I mean, in spite of that, I will say that there are some parts of those novels that that I thought were redeeming. I don't think they're.
There's always
I don't think they're
something.
all
There's always something
terrible.
to be redeemed, right?
There is some
Every bad
interesting.
story has a kernel in it.
Well, not well. Okay, maybe you're right. Maybe you're
Every
right.
piece of shit has a piece of corn that's just, you know.
I don't think it's. I would say they're pretty schlocky. They're not like bottom. They're not wolf time levels of bad. In terms
Name
of
me 3 new characters introduced in the Plague War.
there's Freighter Matthew. He was a pretty cool character, and I can't remember any of the Space Marines, but I remember liking some of them. How does that count? Does it?
And Freda Matthew, the one guy you remember, does he pop up again?
No, he dies. But he was good in the story. He was good
Ah.
in the story. I'll play a little bit of defense for like look. I don't think it's.
No, that's.
I don't think it's.
okay.
I-
I think the point is made though.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
like, did it matter? No. Do you remember anything? No.
No.
So there you go. There you go. It's
Yeah, the part I like about those Plague War novels was that they were sort of serving as a Gilliman's point of view, having just returned to the galaxy, and you were getting a bit of that kind of bittersweet. I don't know how to refer to it. You're getting that contrast from how he is in the Heresy, and then how he is, waking up to this galaxy he doesn't recognize. And I think that element of Gilliman in 40K is pretty strong. So I like that in those Plague War novels, but that's the highlight, right? It's not actually about the Plague War that
I think that's the
particularly
best
like.
part of those novels. Yeah, it's Gilliman literally dying to Fulgrim and then waking up, and then him talking, thinking about how things have changed and stuff.
Yes,
That's the interesting bit. Everything else,
yeah,
I could do without.
the Plague War themselves, the confrontation with Mortarion, where
basically what the novels are actually about, I could do without.
Yes,
the preamble is what's interesting.
It's the Gilliman character stuff that's kind of intriguing to me. But that's about it for Plague War. Like that's how a lot of these box set talking points, or plot points rather, these box set ones. That's how they're going to be, in most cases, right? And I think Plague War has the most development because of Gilliman's novels in relation to it. The other ones don't have that. But we can.
Well, the next one I'm really, really looking forward to.
Oh yeah, the 11th edition starter box. Is that what you're referring to?
No, Vigilus.
Oh, Vigilus. Yes, so we can move on to Vigilus. I don't think it's.
Harkon Worldclaimer. How can you not love Vigilus?
it's his debut. Right? I should have had him in the list. The super key character, Harkon Worldclaimer.
He's done a lot since Vigilus, in fact, and
instrumental. Some may say.
Yes, some may say that the universe is pivoting on that character.
He's Abaddon's right-hand man, after all, allegedly.
Others may more correctly say, "Who the fuck is Harkon Worldclaimer?"
Yeah,
and you would be right. Vigilus. Do we remember much about Vigilus? It was a crusade to take
I'm gonna be honest,
which is apparently in the gap in the Cicatrix Melodic. So apparently
I'll pull the map.
What you can't see.
I remember
very
look, there's a little. There's a.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, I've zoomed in on it on the map. Yeah, so Vigilus was a campaign. Look, I'll play a bit of Defense Force for Vigilus as well. I don't think it's the worst. I think it's probably the best of the worst, right? I think you can frame it that way. Of all the campaigns they've been doing, I think Vigilus is the most interesting. The outcome of Vigilus, I think, is lame as all hell. But as a premise, I don't hate it. Just this idea that the rift is important, that it's a tangible problem that the Imperium has to deal with. This is pretty early, into the what the Great Rift actually turned out to be in terms of Warhammer 40k. But at the time, you're like, okay, now we have a story where the Great Rift is a problem. There's a blockade type situation with Chaos, and they have to fight their way through and secure this one of the few stable routes through the Rift, right? Sounds like the kind of conflict you would have as a result of the Great Rift. But unfortunately, we don't have anything like that ever again. That's my best defense I can make for Vigilus. I think, hot take, I think Calgar should have died, and Abaddon can get some respect on his name because he took down a chapter master. I think Calgar can still have a model and be this martyr for the chapter, this hero to the Imperium. I think his status is elevated if he were to fall to Abaddon.
That's the thing. The Ultramarine blow is from Vigilus. I'd say Nachman, Vigilus, anywhere around there onwards is where we start getting the Ultramarines bloat starts getting a bit ridiculous. Imagine Calgar being alive is just silly.
Oh, I think you get narrative gains off the out the wazoo.
Calgar's already been Darth evaded anyway by the fucking Swarm Lord, but apparently he got better.
Yeah, so this was their chance.
Calgar dies, and imagine Cato Sicarius becomes the new head of the Ultramarines, below Gilliman, of course. And you get to make a Terminator-armored Cato Sicarius. So, you like money, don't you, Games Workshop? I guess you could just make another Calgar and Terminator armor a couple of years later. And then, funny enough, because Space Marine, the game, is out by this point, pretty damn sure. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was out in 6th edition.
Oh, the first one,
7th edition. Yeah. You could have opened the door for fucking old matey from Space Marine to actually come in as the guy in charge of the second company. And you could have actually made it all seamlessly fit together narratively if you have Abaddon kill Calgar at Vigilus. But the thing is, when they did Vigilus, I thought to myself, hey, this is a good chance that you could introduce Abaddon's champions. I've just sent a picture through of Abaddon's champions in colour.
Oh yeah,
to our chat.
Here, I'll post it up.
And it's like, you could have introduced these 4 guys as models, each one leading a Vigilus-style campaign book, right? Like, as heralds of Abaddon. And instead, you get Harkon Worldclimber, who's not a great model, who's a guy you'd never heard of. He just pops up for this one campaign. He's never fucking heard from again, basically. There are, like, it's easy for me to pick on Games Workshop. It's even sadder and easier for me to suggest better ways of doing it. To me, that's a better way of doing it.
Oh, I think so.
Campaign books, you can spread them out over each edition as well. You don't have to blow all your load in the one edition, but it's like you can actually have Abaddon's champions in the flesh, because they are champions representing the different gods as well. You know, you've got Zinch, Slanesh, Nurgle, and Khorne all present in his champions. And you can have them lead different tonally themed crusades, or dark crusades, if you were, and different campaigns. And when Abaddon shows up, that can be like the big thing. At the end of each book, he shows up to get shit done.
Mm-hmm.
And it culminates with him putting down Calgar. And I don't mean that like facetious.
First
I don't
book is
mean that,
sold by like
tongue-in-cheek.
Calgar dies.
Yeah,
Calgar dies is the selling point of the first one.
I think it's a good tone-setting mechanism, right? Like, what a good use of his character.
It tells you there's stakes.
Yes, 100%. And like I said, I think he becomes I think he'd be more popular, funnily enough, if he were to die and fall to Abaddon. Abaddon becomes a real big cheese. He took down this legendary character. And then, look, you still have models and rules for Calgar. I don't care, right? Even give him his new Primaris armor. Make him cross the Rubicon.
If he goes down swinging, if Calgar goes down swinging, he's more badass for it. Like,
oh, 100%.
You remember all the guys in the Heresy that went down swinging. You don't have people there bitching on forums because, you know, fucking Loken dies or shit like that. Like, you know, maybe it's not super satisfying how some of them go down, but like, you know, if they go down swinging, it's interesting.
Yep.
And so if you have Calgar go down swinging, it's like, oh, there's some fucking stakes. Like a named character, a major named character just fucking died. And it's like, it's okay because Ultramarines have so many characters, you got plenty to fall back on. It's not like when you kill, you know, a White Scars or a Raven Guard character where it's like, that was their one character that you just took from them, you know?
Right.
And it's more satisfying than like what happens with like Yarrick, where a character dies off screen. So it's a better way, in my mind, of doing things. Like, because you're setting up real stakes and you're giving a satisfying end to a character if you write it well. You know, if you do a good job where it's like, you know, you could have Harkon Worldclaimer in the fucking book for all it matters and have Gilman kill the cunt. Like, just have him, have Calgar kill him. Like, put him down mercilessly. And, you know, have a guy like Erebus in the book, someone that you just loathe. You know, he's built up to be a real piece of shit, so it's cathartic when he gets killed by Calgar. Only to have Calgar then die, so it's like a bittersweet thing, where it's like, hey, at least he killed that asshole. You know, like, I think the audience would be okay with it.
I think so. You'll have a small minority with poor taste rioting on the forums, but I think in the grand scheme of the narrative, it'd be much better.
Yeah, the whole point is that you've got to have... Again, here's the problem, okay? Makara's writing for an audience to enjoy the story, okay? Games Workshop are writing for you to buy the fucking models. That's the difference.
But you can have both.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're not exclusive.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Yes, they're not mutually exclusive. You can have both. But Games Workshop are not doing that. Games Workshop are literally, this is a catalogue that happens to be a story. That's what this is. Nobody's allowed to die. Nobody's allowed to really do anything. And if we introduce somebody in the book, they're dead. If we introduce a new character, they're dead. They're instantly dead. You know they're not going to survive.
Unless they have a model, then they'll live forever.
Unless they have a model, then yes, they might survive. They probably will survive. But that's the thing. So Mac is approaching it from a point of view of, we can sell models with this, but you know, also it can be a really cool story that we can have some fun with. That's cool. Yeah, brilliant. But that's not what Games Workshop are doing. They're approaching it from a completely different angle. The story is not even secondary. It's tertiary to them. They don't care. It's just there to sell models. It's a vehicle, and I think they believe by writing these stories, they're catering to a small percentage of their fan base, and they're doing everybody a favor by doing this. That's just what I believe. I don't think they believe for 1 second that most of the hobbyists out there really care about the story. They just want the models. Yeah, that's pretty much it about this kind of phenomenon. I don't know.
You're probably right about that.
Yeah, it's cynical.
Well, they're getting the positive reinforcement, right? From like everything we've been covering has been like selling like gangbusters for them, right? As we go through all of this, so it's just like the incentive is certainly there to keep doing what they were doing, and they have as we go down this list. Anything more to add on Vigilus?
Nobody realistically remembers what effect it had on the setting.
It didn't.
Again,
Yep.
It didn't. That's right. And it didn't really have any nostalgia strings to pull beyond the return of Kelgar, and I think this is when we also got the newer Batten model.
Yep.
So it's like, remember, like, there's a reason I pick on the nostalgia bait, because it's like the only like characters they are introducing are guys like Harkon Worldclaimer, and it's just like, ooh, yeah, I can see why you're farming the nostalgia, because if you don't farm the nostalgia, it's not looking too great.
Yeah, you're not adding a substantive character. It's a fairly shallow character. That's not arguable.
Yeah, so that's why I pick on it so hard, because like, there's nothing wrong with new characters. You introduce cool new characters all the time, you know, but they just, remember this old character, he's back. Remember this old character, he's back. All right, next book. So
No, it's very much the pattern of things. Speaking
maybe
of,
it's just me, but that's underwhelming.
oh no, it's well, I think the three of us are in agreement, right? Like it's like you want consequences. You want if you're framing it as things are happening, then we want there to be some consequence, some outcome, a difference from before and after, right? You want Vigilus to happen. You want, ideally, for Abaddon to have a win. I think that's more preferable, and for that to mean something in the lore going forward, right? Maybe the galaxy map changes in the next edition because he secured Vigil, like that. Those are the kind of things I think we would prefer, right?
Yeah, I think it's completely fair.
But we can shift gears to Psychic Awakening. Now, there's it was like a set of like 8 or so campaign books for all the different new models they want to sell to each faction, basically. And they all had similarly inconsequential stories. But the Devastation of Baal, I think it stands out as the best example of all of these non-consequential stories, because I'll shift over to the galaxy map real quick. So you can take note, audience, that Baal is on the opposite side of the rift, right? It's not in Imperium Sanctus, it's in the Nihilus, the place that should be basically hell to live in. Now, in Devastation of Baal, it's a sort of end times story where High Fleet Leviathan is making a all-out attack on this one planet. And so all the Blood Angel successor chapters come together in the Blood Angels' defense of their home world, right? It's kind of neat in that respect. Like if I listened to the book, I was thinking as a Blood Angels fan, that's kind of cool to see everyone come together in this kind of moment of crisis. And you have some, it's a good kind of payoff if you're a Blood Angels fan.
I will say this. There was one moment of that book that I really enjoyed, especially in the audiobook, when they're defending the thirst pit. It sounds bad, but you know what I mean? The thirst water, that pit. And there are Blood Angel chaplains standing behind normal humans, leading the normal humans. That was cool, because I can just imagine, like, because the writer was saying, yeah, these humans should be running away, but they're so proud to be led by not just any space marine, but the morale guys just standing behind them, going, "Keep firing, damn you, fire!" Just such a fucking cool moment. And I thought, do you know what? That's this is 40k. I'm reading 40k right now. This is great, right? Rest of the novel can suck my dick, but like that bit, like that couple of chapters, I was like, yeah. And there's also like an old man and a simpleton boy in that book.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Who are really good characters. You know, again, everyone's going to die because they don't have model, but like it's still a really those are really cool parts of that book. Aside from that, yes, utterly pointless. And I think what you were saying about stakes, Bal shouldn't be there anymore.
Oh, I was just gonna get to this, right? Like
It should be gone.
It should be gone. I mean,
Tyranids are a joke.
like what happens in this book is
Well,
crazy to me because you have this all-out assault. All of Hive Fleet, or a major tendril, let's say, of Hive Fleet Leviathan is just dedicating to one world, which is typically the end of most planets, right? However, as the Tyranids are overwhelming the Blood Angels, we have a Deus Ex Machina type situation where the B plot of these demons, Mephiston and other Psychers are having visions about, intercede. And they say, no, Tyranids, you cannot take over Ball because we want to take over Ball. So then the Tyranids are kind of sidelined, right? That threat's removed. Yeah. But now that presents another problem where now you have these demons of Khorne coming to take over and destroy Ball and Dante and the whole gang. And then we have like our second Uno reverse where Guilliman somehow crosses the Great Rift and he's there with a whole fresh product line of Primaris replacements.
This was an oopsie. This was a big oopsie. Like the Khorne demons thing I can get. I know why that's there. That's fine. That's been a thing since the Horus Heresy.
Yeah, okay. It's fine. But the
odd.
double Uno reverse is terrible.
Yes.
Ball should have fallen, and I think don't have Guilliman arrive with new products to save the day. If you want, again, consequences to come from the Great Rift, and you want stories to explore what that means, I think Ball should fall. You move that's a big narrative. That's significant, right? That's like losing Cadia, right? You have this first founding chapter's homeworld just gone because of lore changing. And then, look, I think Blood Angels becoming a fleet-based chapter works perfectly fine.
I think if you keep this novel the same, but you just change the end of Baal falls, Guilliman arrives, but only to evacuate the last of the Blood Angels, right? He evacuates them. And he injects them with Primaris recruits later on.
Yeah, totally.
But Dante stays behind. Right?
Oh, that'd be good.
And he makes sure that at least 5,000 to 8,000 Blood Angels can get off the planet. And he sends them away. And then when they look back, they can swear they can see Sanguinius as a vision, like flying around, but it's actually Dante.
Oh, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss, Lord. I love it.
And that's it. And that's it. And that's how it ends. And it's gone. And so you're giving the Tyranids a win. You've got Sanguinius back in the setting, quote unquote, even though he's not, right? Dante's gone. We've already killed off Calgar elsewhere. Everyone's feeling the heat. There are real stakes. And yeah, it's again, it's game. They don't want to pull the trigger. They do not want to pull the trigger. They want their cake and they want to eat it. They want to have. They want you to feel like there's loads of stakes without actually giving you any sort of repercussions and things. Imagine in Game of Thrones if Ned Stark just got up and went, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll just go home now," rather than getting his head cut off. Spoilers. Do you know what I mean? It's like no, like you're an idiot, and here are your consequences. Do you know what I mean? Like if you just, I don't know. I'll shut up but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't.
It doesn't even have to be It doesn't even have to be Dante. It could be something like Mephiston, and you'd probably get, just as good an impact. Or, fuck it, the Sanguinor. Like the Sanguinor, like they see him as the full-fledged angel himself. Someone who it is a big loss. It's like the Sanguinor is gone, but you still have something you can do with it. Like going forward with the chapter. Like it's fine to have them as like a Spaceborne chapter, like depressed and cut up over losing the world. You could also have them going more insane with like the Black Rage taking hold because of like all the warp shenanigans that happen because of the shadow in the warp and all of that effects that it would have on them. So there's a lot of stuff you could do with it. They just didn't.
Yeah, I think I would argue against Mephiston going. It's got to be Dante because the poor guy. Just get rid of this dude, please. It is such
If
a
you
symptom.
haven't killed Kelgar, then I think yes, Dante. If you kill Kelgar, then you can't also kill Dante because that's just chapter master, then another chapter master. Everyone just goes, okay, we get what you're doing. You're just killing the chapter masters off, and that becomes too cynical. So I think it's where you have to mix it up between your A and your B tier characters.
In that case, I'd rather keep Calgar then rather than Dante because I just think Dante's earned a good end.
I agree. I agree.
You convinced me.
Calgar's funny. Like him just sticking around and just being like, is kind of funny. Dante needs to go, unfortunately, in a good way. In a good way, not in a bad.
Well, the way you described, I think, is like poetic. It works.
Yeah. But again, they'll never do this. They'll never. I don't know. They're just afraid of losing money. They're afraid that if they do this, that people's going to stop buying the models or people are going to be really upset.
Yeah, it's
but if you're really afraid of that, like, where did this female custodian stuff come from then? If you're really afraid of what the fans think, then why? It's just so. It's so
interesting, isn't it?
Bipolar. Like it's like sometimes they're really afraid of pulling the trigger, and then sometimes like, no, fuck it. They've all got vaginas now. It's like, well, which is it? There's a reason why you do. I don't know. Insane.
Yeah. But like I said, I don't think it's worth going into all of Psychic Awakening, but the devastation of Baal is probably the best example of squandered potential of cool campaign stories, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know, because you saw what's next on your list.
Well, yeah. Well, so moving on to, I guess, 9th edition. That's a good segue. We have the Indomitus 9th edition launch box, right? Which is, it's just a launch box with new Necrons and new Primaris Space Marines that look better than the old Primaris Space Marines. But following that Necron's range refresh, the Silent King's introduction is here. So that's where I've inserted it into our little timeline here. Yeah, 9th edition launch, then Silent King's return. So that is a galaxy-level entity. A supreme being, some may say, that doesn't really do all that much.
That's a character who's too big, too powerful, too important to bring back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's now no reason why you shouldn't have a unified Necron empire, realistically.
Mm-hmm.
Because any lord who didn't submit to him would just get steamrolled. So.
Yeah, and you don't have the excuse with orcs where it's a.
And you could at least do a Necron civil war if you're gonna say that like he can't unite them. Okay, well that at least gives you an interesting story. The thing is, there's been nothing since his return. He returned so that they could say, "Look, the Silent King." All right. Anyway.
Yeah. That's basically it. So, interestingly, the Dawn of Fire series was ongoing through 9th and 10th, but I've inserted here because it's a series that is mostly slop, as I've written, with a few nuggets, as you kind of expect with Black Library series, with any Black Library novel series. But it ends with the Silent King book, which is not necessarily what those books are about. And get this, guys, okay? I'm going to drop some lore surprise on you. Gilliman faces off with the Silent King, and you wouldn't guess the outcome. They both part
They shake
ways.
hands and walk away.
Basically,
that's it,
basically. Silent
Yeah.
King thinks Gilliman is important for like all the other players and movers. He still has a role to play. You see, something like this. So they part.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's you can't have Silent King. Like it's just as Maka said. It's a cool model, and I can appreciate getting your guy on the tabletop. But man, it's a wicked problem to have such a potent being as like a narrative piece that you have to account for now.
That's yeah. I honestly, this is one piece of lore that I came across almost secondhand. And I just it was the first time I went, you know what? I'm really glad I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just really glad I'm not in this anymore because this is just pathetic. It's getting to the stage where you don't read 40k lore. Like you don't need to. Like it's just nothing happens.
Well,
It
it's
is
so
literally
interesting, right? Because
nothing happens.
like sorry, it's interesting in that 40k lore is so popular for people to watch,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But as we were going through and demonstrating, and nothing's really happening. But I mean, everything's happening though. But
New Star Trek is so bad, right? that,
I've noticed.
this weekend I went out and me and my friend we met like a lesbian couple, and I was thinking, oh here we go, because as soon as Star Trek came up, I thought, oh, okay, they're gonna start like praising it, and they both went, nah, it's too gay and woke, and I was like, whoa, gonna buy you guys a drink, right? You know that's cool, but it's too even for them. They went, this is just horrible, this is retarded, right? I'd rather have that than what 40k is doing. Why? Because at least it's doing something. It's doing something. The story's going on. It's going on in a terrible way that I probably won't enjoy. But I'm not just sitting there watching a series of sequences that don't do anything. Right? It's like imagine watching a wrestling match where they just stare at each other and they both get out the ring and there's a double count out in every single match. Yeah, you wouldn't, would you? That's 40k lore right now. That's what 40k lore is. Okay? Don't like New Star Trek. I think it's awful. But it's doing something. It's got a beginning, middle, and an end. Characters are dying. You know, things are happening that are awful, but they're happening. This is nothing. This is nothing.
New Star Trek peaked
zero.
with Picard season 3.
Oh yes,
And that
I
was
agree.
all that was released in all of Star Trek since when was J.J. Abrams' first one? 09?
09.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there has been nothing since Star Trek Nemesis except for Picard season 3.
Oh, what a world to live in.
Yeah.
What a world.
There was never any other films or TV series, especially not TV series. Hey, talk about picking people shitting the bed now that you've brought it up north. Why the fuck did they give the cunt who wrote Amazing Spider-Man 2 the entire Star Trek franchise to just have his filthy way with?
Dude.
Like,
Fail
the
upwards,
thing
I
that-
guess.
He
Failing
is worse
upwards,
than
yeah.
Games Workshop, what he has done to that franchise.
It is failing upwards. And I stand by my point, though. That
How do people with no talent that do a bad job keep getting like millions of dollars and destroying franchises? Like, it's like when I look at politicians fucking everything up. It's like, hey, I could fuck things up just as badly for cheaper. Like, you know, like how are you doing so bad?
It's all it must be like favors and like curried favor with different people and networking and just that bullshit. It's not meritocracy at all.
I just see it with Games Workshop, right? Because people are like, oh, well, Games Workshop writes the law. You keep the people who wrote the law are gone, and now the people who are there don't have the passion. They're just employed, and it's just the company writes the law and has say over it because of something written on a piece of paper that says they arbitrarily own it as a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm at the point where I don't believe they have any right to the law or the universe because they're not the people that created it.
Yeah, it's
A work of
I
art
agree.
is bigger than a company is. Like, this is not a physical... Like, the physical product that you manufacture is different to the art behind it, if that makes sense.
Oh, here's a question for that framing. Honest question. Does the perception of that stance change if Games Workshop was nailing it after the new people took over? Like, let's say they were just banging out these like narrative updates, even better than we're describing here. Do you feel like they still own it?
It's just like the people who who run Star Wars. Just because you bought it doesn't mean that you have the right to be the ones who have sole artistic integrity. If they're doing a good job of it, you tolerate it. You go, you know what? I'm happy with the direction it's headed. I'm willing to go along with your canon,
Makes sense.
your lore, and treat your universe as the universe. But when they shit the bed, it's like, cool, I'm just going to pretend that everything that you've done under your tenure is shithouse. And therefore, it isn't actually the true canon. And the true canon just stopped at a point in time when such and such writer left. That was, when it ended. And that's how I treat all these franchises. Like I said, Star Trek at the end of Nemesis, not a great film. But, and Picard Season 3, it's like, that's it. I don't recognize the other stuff. I'm picking and choosing like a buffet now, going, these are the stories that are good, I'll keep that from the buffet, right? I like the flavor of that. And the other stuff, you go back, like, everything fucking Star Wars. Everything. Fucking dead. Fucking dead, right? Ever since the prequels, I tolerate the prequels. I will not tolerate everything past the prequels. You can shove your fucking Mandalorian up where the bobber don't fit.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Right? Because the bad so outweighs the good. I don't want any of it. It's like pineapple on pizza. I can pick the pineapple off. It's still gonna fucking taste like it. You've ruined the pizza. So that's how I treat franchises like that. And Games Workshop's the same sort of way. The problem is, again, the good's outweighing the bad, where it's like, hey, the pineapple has saturated the product. No matter how much I pull off, that sweetness is always going to be there. And I ordered a savory pizza. And that is Games Workshop in a nutshell. Basically, none of the new stuff that's coming out is digestible to me. So it makes it really fucking hard to say, yeah, these guys should have their fucking hands on the steering wheel of this franchise. It's like, no, they're doing a terrible job with it. And making money is not... This is where people go really, really wrong in this fandom. They equate success financially with a successful product.
That's
excellent point.
Thing.
It's like Avatar. It's not masterful. It makes a ton of money at the box office for whatever reason. But no one's sitting there going like, oh, I'm just going to go home this weekend and rewatch Avatar. Right? Nobody ever fucking says that.
Get out of here with that.
People will say all the time, though, like, oh, I got to rewatch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Oh, you're watching the extended edition? Oh, is there any other fucking kind? Like,
Right.
That's a very normal thing that we do, right?
Excellent point, yeah.
Right, because it's perfect, right? It's that's what you want out of your franchise. I treat 40K like Avatar. It's like it's this consumer slop that just sort of continues to succeed in spite of itself. It's like, who is this story for? Who is the target audience? And why are you making money still? Like, that's the way I sort of look at it at this point.
It's an excellent comparison with Avatar. I'll be using that going forward. It's so funny.
Yeah, because I can't think of a better way to describe it. Like, the Arcs of Omen, which is your next section, right?
Yeah, we can roll over to that, actually.
So you get, like, Vashtor introduced. Nothing comes of that. But, like, he's on the rock. And I know I definitely mentioned this idea before. It's like, why isn't Vashtor skulking around the rock the fucking reason that the lion comes back? It's like, you literally have a prop in place to be the cause and effect.
Yeah.
And then, like, he can literally just walk into the fucking wrong room, find the lion in stasis, and be like, oh, dude, I done fucked up. And then the lion, like, wakes up and fucking, Leroy Jenkins, and just fucking pummels the shit out of him, right? And that would have been satisfying for Vashtor and the lion. Instead, to totally disassociate stories. Whereas, like, he happens to be on the rock. Nothing really comes of that. And the lion comes back, but not on the fucking rock. He's just, like, on random worlds and teleporting from pot plant to pot plant, I guess. Like, I don't know, like, what point your forest is big enough that, like, the lion can... Because he's now psychic, because they're all psychic, which I'm fine with them being slightly psychic, because they're all partly made of the war Primarchs. They're essentially Imperial Demon Princes, really. But it's like now his psychic power is the ability to fucking teleport from forest to forest. It's like, what is that? What kind of forest are we talking here? Like, would a jungle count? Like, palm trees okay? Or does it have to be, like, evergreen? Like, it's got to be pine trees and, cypress and conifers, things like
Does
that.
he not manifest the
like,
forest? Or surely it's not.
No, there's forests on these planets, and he teleports from forest to forest. Like, if I have a pot plant in the corner, will I be having, like, a cheeky tug one day, and then the lion's just there, like, that is wrong of you, brother, like, over my shoulder? Like,
Terrible.
like, could that fucking happen? I don't know. Right? Can he come out of a cactus? Is a cactus forest count? What if it's just a glade of very tall flowers?
If we were to rewrite this,
it's like one of those really like dumb superpowers that gets memed on in like Rick and Morty.
right, 100% in how you're describing it. Like, I would, if we were to rewrite that power, it's very simple. You just manifest. You call it forest walking because the realm looks like whatever that to him, and then he's just traveling through effectively like webway style traveling. That's it. Why restrict it to organic life of a specific volume? This is crazy.
Is Korax gonna like have the ability to conjure up a fucking Green Day concert wherever he fucking goes or something? What is the limit on?
He'll only travel in dark areas. So if you turn the lights on, he can't enter. That's how that'll work.
Lehman Russ, wherever he goes, he can howl and immediately just summon wolves like the fucking shaman in Warcraft 3. just fucking spirit wolves. His psychic power is he summons ghost wolves. Ooh, like that's fucking stupid. Fucking stupid. This just
I would not have it.
And he goes on this like ripped off version of like an Arthur's Crusade type thing. Just have him go and find the Holy Grail. Like, just dispense with the fucking logic of it all if you're going to do that. Like, why does he come back? Why has the Emperor got a shield now? Where the fuck did that come from? Like,
he found it in the forest walk.
The Emperor never had a shield. And this is why I've said he's like, Rogue Dawn's missing his hands. Is he kind of come back with the Emperor's gloves? Or just like the Primarch's like a raiding party? Every one of them just pinches the Emperor's shit like, anyone need a foot? And someone like breaks into it for you see like a snapping of old bones. Primarch comes out, check out my new shoes.
I can't remember if I mentioned this to you before, Maka, but I'll mention it again. The Emperor did not have a shield, but he did have a tilting plate, and that's your answer. Do you like it more now, or do you like it less?
It's like Vulcan gonna come back and he won't have the red eyes anymore. Look me, I got me some real eyes, and the Emperor's like got this fucking eye gouged corpse. Vulcan's just taking his
problem
eyes.
with Games Workshop giving power of bringing Primarchs back to a single author, especially if that author's called Mike Brooks and is the most morally bankrupt piece of shit that you could actually ever give a book to. You just cannot. I very rarely say this person's actually a bad person. Mike Brooks is a piece of shit. And his stories are shit. His political views are completely retarded, and he keeps injecting them into all of his books. If that's the kind of guy you want writing your Lion Return book, then you deserve everything you fucking get. And this nonsense of him just appearing in a woodland that lets him teleport when he was right there next to Vashtor, ready to go, is peak Brooks bullshit. It's a writer with his ankles behind his own head, sniffing his own farts. He thinks he's so fucking clever to put this into a book. Oh no one saw this coming. He's the Ryan Johnson of literally of 40k writers, subverting the expectation. You've got to give the fans something that they don't know, that you didn't know you wanted this. Aha! See?
Okay, I can fix this though. There's
a reason why I didn't know, because I didn't fucking want it. There's a reason why. Go on, sorry.
So, Vashtor is the reason the lion wakes up. Lion immediately caves Vashtor's head in because, I mean, look at Vashtor.
Mm-hmm.
You would. And he could. He's the lion. You know how Gilliman has his come to Jesus moment where he's like, holy shit, the Imperium is just a fucking hellhole, right? The lion should be like Arthur in John Borman's Excalibur movie. If you're gonna do the Arthur parallels, so he is given the vision of the Grail type thing. The Grail probably could be Cypher. He's the Grail, right? Finds Cypher, and he summons the Grand Masters of the different second, third, and fourth founding chapters and such of the Dark Angels together. They're his Knights of the Round Table.
I like
They
it.
go out into the galaxy to find Cypher. They bring back the Lion Sword, aka Excalibur. And when they present him with the reforged Excalibur, the Lion Sword, he is able to take up arms again and leave the rock and go back out into the Imperium. Like, his strength is bound to the sword type mentality. And the king is able to return to the kingdom.
I like that a lot better.
Yeah.
It's immediately more
On the
interesting.
nose,
Better
if we're
than
going
what
on the
we got.
nose, then I'd rather do this.
Yeah, if you're going
Right.
to go on the nose, right? But it's like that story's written and it makes sense because it gives you something to do with all the Dark Angels successor chapters, and it gives a job to the Grand Masters, like they're his Knights of the Round Table,
Yeah.
you know. And you can have the different personalities of the Grand Masters actually like be like the Knights of the Round Table, you know. Like Azrael could be like your Lancelot character. You're just uber Chad. You know, you can have Percival being another one of the Grand Masters of one of the second founding chapters. You know, it doesn't really matter who's what, but it's like that's your basis right there.
Yeah, that's
And
your
it's a more
template.
satisfying narrative because that way you actually get to use the Dark Angels and their successors to do a task, and they can all go out and have their own little moments of glory. You know, you could have like in John Borman's Excalibur. Again, really fun movie. I like it a lot. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but you know, where the Knights of the Round Table sometimes come across other dead Knights of the Round Table that have died on the quest to seek the Holy Grail. And it's just like that moment of sadness when they like see an old comrade that's, you know, fallen on the journey. It's like you could have that where like the chapter masters come across other chapter masters of the Dark Angels who've fallen, like, you know, and they're on a fucking Chaos Lord's trophy rack or some shit. And they're just like, oh fuck.
That hits.
You know? Like what has happened here? You know, and Luther is his Mordred.
Yeah, that works
So,
well.
like, if you're gonna go Arthurian, go full Arthurian. Have fun with it, you know. And then, yeah, obviously, at the end of it all, he gets the Lion Sword back. And hey, you know what? Why not just have Gilliman meet him in this moment and be the one who's like, I heard of your return. I have, you know, amends have been made. Here is the Lion Sword. I broke it. I present it back to you. Right? Done.
Oh, yeah,
He's back.
I like that a lot. I like it a lot. Yeah, Gilliman being the one to bring it back.
It's
Yeah.
better than just brother. We need to talk.
Oh, dude, yeah, we'll get to that. I mean, there's not too much to speak to on it, but yeah, that 500 worlds reveal is lame.
You know when he says, brother, we need to talk, you know what he's going to do? He's going to bring forth his plan for a socialist little commune. He said, look what I've built over here. Everyone has the same amount of money. Everyone has the same... everyone's fine. Everyone's hunky-dory. Everything's fine. And you're in the meanie Imperium. You shouldn't be doing that, dude. You should just come over here and, you know, we should just play Kumbaya and let humanity fall. Because if we're this bad to each other, we deserve to die anyway. I kind of just, you know, identify more with the Tyranids anyway. Because I'm an evil piece of shit. That's where we're getting. That's what we're gonna get with the Lion.
There's
so
another
funny
there's
feeling.
another guy.
Brooks will be writing that one as well. So we'll see where we go.
We have another guy who returned, and that was Angron.
Oh,
Every 6 weeks, 6 days, and 6 hours. Was that it? Was that what it was? No, it was something else.
No, it was the Coral Engine, the choir thing. That he's giving me a headache, so he goes over to kill it, and he kills it.
Yeah, but like when he comes back, it's like every 6 weeks, 6 days, and 2 hours, and 6 hours, like 666 or whatever. No, sorry, it was eight. It was 8 weeks, 8 days, and 8 hours, which is 9 weeks. You know, 1 day and 8 hours. Like, and why is it like Earth 24 time? Like, would it be like Nyseria time that like Angron works? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter. It should be on Korn's clock. It doesn't matter, right? Like, it's
So as
stupid.
I've mentioned in the past, the big problem with Angron is, like all demon Primarchs we've now discovered, they exist to die to show you how strong loyalist Primarchs are. So being a demon is objectively a negative for them, apart from the fact they come back from the dead. But they're like just at this point probably wishing to just fucking die permanently.
Oh, yeah, it's...
instead of being brought back, because like he gets his head bashed in by the Emperor's shield by the lion. Like, Demon Angron's just a pushover in the end. Like, and he does nothing for the universe.
Like, this is
not at stake.
This is a problem with all Demon Primarchs, as you've mentioned. There was a point I had about the lion, and I wanted to pitch it to you guys. It's not as lengthy of a premise as what you laid out, Maka. I don't think it's a substantive either. But I think it's related to Angron, right? Because we do have this problem where becoming a Demon Primarch and, like, quadrupling your weight class doesn't do anything for you, it seems. It's retarded, right? It's so stupid. From just like a logic perspective and stakes and scale, right? I understand. I am a fan of the David versus Goliath motif, but it can't be so arbitrary, right? So the concept is, how would you guys feel if the lion does return, and he is older, but he can't 1v1 Demon Primarch Angron? Because that would be a hard task for a Primarch, a non-Demon Primarch in their prime. And instead, you know, he comes back to the Legion. You can still have a model on the tabletop and be a good fighter because he's still the lion. But he takes a more of a commanding role, and I really like the idea of Cypher being reintegrated to the Legion. I think that's what you do with that character when the lion returns. Or else what is he doing? He's just gonna stay in.
It's the obvious payoff.
He's just gonna stay in Codex Chaos Space Marines forever. It doesn't make any like narrative sense for what's going on. I don't think GW wants to think about it. Right? They don't want to think about it. All right, until they have a new model for Cypher or something to that effect. Then they'll think about it. But yeah, I don't know, that was a route I wanted to share with how you could also...
So you want the lion to be a general and not just a champion? Because that's a huge problem with a lot of these characters is they don't perform generals' roles. They're champions.
Mm-hmm.
They go out, they issue challenges for single combat, they kill the other guy, therefore their whole army wins. Because, you know, it's like a battle in the Iliad. You know, like Achilles challenges Hector to 1v1. 1v1 me, bro. You know? Like,
well, I think, like, you have...
That's your... Like, you're right in the thinking. Like, you should be able to have a guy like the Lion look at Angron and go, yeah, fuck that. Hey, how about this, guys? See, why don't we just fly a squadron 10 Thunderhawks over and just shoot the shit out of him? just fucking shoot him with your turbo lasers, okay? And then I'll go over and I'll fucking stab the fucking charred husk that's left over. Send him back to the warp for another fucking 8 weeks.
That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He belongs in. And the thing is,
Lion is very pragmatic.
That
Lion
problem
is crazy pragmatic.
That problem we were talking about before, where it's like, okay, everyone just walks away and nods and says, okay, okay, and that kind of thing. You brought up a very interesting point there. What happens when Achilles fights Hector?
It's over.
Achilles wins.
Yep.
Yeah. Even fucking Homer knew that you don't do that. They would be so retarded and stupid that they just fought and went, you know what? Achilles and Hector are fighting, and then just an earthquake happens, and a big split in the earth happens and just splits them apart. Oh god! Even he knew that'd be fucking lame. So we don't do that. That's ridiculous. We don't do that.
Not to overanalyze mythology, but you know the whole reason he fights Hector is so that you can have that moment of moral clarity that comes when Priam visits him.
Yeah,
where it's like, you know, he's willing to put himself in harm's way for his dead child, versus, you know, the Agamemnon who sheerly all for his own glory, and you know, no matter how much anger Achilles bears towards Hector for the slaying of, his
Patroclus.
cousin, lover, whatever you want to call Patroclus, whether it's his cousin, his lover. He realizes that like he has to forgive, because like he can't bring him back, and it's like, so that there is a moral story being told there about what a just man is, and like, that you can't, like, vengeance isn't sweet and all that kind of thing. Like, their moral stories, like in 40k, if you're gonna try and tell that, you can tell that, and it is a fine setting to do it in. But the setting wants to pretend it's that profound, and then it also just wants to have the lion just smash Angron's head in with a fucking shield.
Mm-hmm.
So
And both of them live because you've got these demon powers that allow you to just take a loss and come back and, rinse and repeat.
yeah, whereas the lion is, like, everyone knows the lion is crazy pragmatic. Like, they joke about his autism, but it's really just I use the word a lot for him because he's just like, what is the most efficient way to get this job done? Like, he
Sounds smart to me.
because he pissed off Russ because Russ had like a gripe against that dude who insulted him, but Russ was fucking about trying to sort out a Wolfen issue, and while that was happening, the lion's like, look, it's been past the deadline to get this shit sorted, so I'm just going to teleport in and kill the guy myself. So he does, and then Russ is all pissy at him. The lion's like, what? The goal was to win. He's dead. We won. Like, let's go. And then Russ challenges him to a fucking 1v1 in him, bro, which the lion wins twice. Like, he would be the kind of guy who's like, oh, Angron's coming on a blood crusade. Let's just evacuate a few of the worlds in his way. So there's just nothing for him to fucking feed on in his blood crusade. Nothing to slaughter, champ. What you gonna do now? Like, and weaken him up. Maybe he weakens him enough through that tactic that he can fight him mano a mano. But like, it shows that like he's beating him through intelligence rather than brute forcing it, which is again better to the character. Audience, feel free to disagree. I think it would be better to the character.
Absolutely.
Look, it's better for both characters, right? Like, you can't... What does Angron have, if not the capacity to win at brute force engagements?
He may know that he can't win the brute force engagement. Even in his bloody rage, Angron realizes that he's so depleted by this, but he has to go and fight him in the hopes that he can beat him in order to sustain himself in reality, because it's the only fight he's getting offered up, and his ability to be chained to the mortal realm is fading away as he can't kill things.
Right, and that framing is...
like, it forces the fight.
Yeah, that framing is like by degrees more interesting compared to just the champion challenge that you have in Arcs of Omen. For sure.
Oh yeah.
For sure. I think that's it for Arcs of Omen, unless you guys want to add anything else. We're on the home stretch.
I touched on the key, the device thing.
Oh yeah,
it's just insulting.
Yeah,
like,
just the MacGuffin wrapped in a MacGuffin. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't care. You don't care. If I wrote a story or anything that had the main things being the key, the lock, and the device, just fucking put me out of my misery.
Terrible.
Take away my keyboard. Just stop. How that got past any sort of quality control, how nobody walked into that fucking studio and said, listen, lads, are these all placeholder names? Because this is like, we can't get away with this. This is ridiculous. People are going to be, no, just no one cares. Just get on with it. It's fine. It's fine. I just cannot believe the mask slipped that much. They don't give a shit. They just don't. The key, the device, and the lock. Fuck off. Honestly. I can move on.
Yeah.
A little rant about it.
No, it's worthy of such rantage. But we'll shift gears to 10th edition, right? So I don't think I'm missing anything on the plot beats for 10th edition. I have the intro box, which is Tyranids are back, let's go. And then I think it's just 500 worlds, and I guess the Maelstrom, but we don't really know what that is. But I'm sure it's nothing.
No.
I'm sure it's like all the other campaigns where it's like, nothing really happens.
It's a campaign to bring up models.
Blackheart comes back. He fights Kalgar or Cato or Titus, one of the three. Gilman not involved, and the Red Corsairs go back to the Maelstrom at the end of the day. No major worlds fall.
They might end up fighting
Next book.
Uriel. Maybe because I think those products are coming out at the same time, and I think it's all from the same campaign book.
Oh yes,
like the Necrons
Could
and,
be
and
like
500
a
Worlds.
pirate theme.
Yeah, I think
Sure.
so. It's 1% more novel. You know what I mean? Like that's all that means. It'll still be like no one dies because they both have models. You can't risk anything substantive. In terms of like the fourth tyrannic war as our framing device, like you don't have a silent king type figure that appears as a product of the focus on Tyranids, so there's nothing like to speak of in that regard. You just have a campaign or a bad guy, a heel for the edition, I guess, focus on the Tyranids as being the most deadly it's ever been. Like this kind of many factions are described in this way, right? The orcs, like Gazgul, under the orcs, the most deadly they've ever been, right? I don't even know if it's broken as a premise that it needs fixing. I think it might just be the nature of what that is, right? Just Tyranids, Fourth Tyrannic War is happening. Thoughts like to you guys? I mean, I don't really have like hard grievances like I had with Arcs of Omen or Devastation of Baal or anything like that.
Yeah, because we can't, because we don't know.
It's nothing.
We don't know what this is,
right? Like
yeah. It's just in. But I can predict what's going to be. You know, as we just said, like we know, 500 Worlds is just going to be a Ultramarine circle jerk. Like the 500 Worlds is. Imagine. Do you remember when I just said they dropped all pretense? Games Workshop want to cover Ultramarines.
Mm-hmm.
They want to cover Ultramarines so much they've now just ditched the idea of an enemy altogether, and gone, these worlds that need to be reconquered from what? I don't know. It's Ultramarines, man.
Well,
come on.
I mean, I'm not trying to play Defense Force necessarily, but I mean they're fighting Necrons with a new character. I guess.
No, my point is, there's not one big returning. Oh my God, here is Angron, or oh my God, here is Mortarion.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just literally we're just fighting some Necrons, and this returning character, dude. If you can fight the Silent King, why the fuck should I give a toss about this other person that you're bringing in?
I just remembered. Does it? And I'm wondering if this changes your perception. Is because they're releasing that Catan, the Scythe guy. What's his name? He's Nightbringer. So he's part. Yeah. No, the Nightbringer. Yeah, he's part of that product wave of these new Necrons, right? Is that sufficient? Well, he's not marketed. He's not in the marketing, right? He's not like
it's a tertiary character for a tertiary faction. Sorry, guys, if you do like but they are, and
yeah, they don't have agency, right?
Yeah, they just dump the entire premise of like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the Ultramarines are facing as long as Ultramarines are there fighting away. They're going to win. They're not going to lose any characters, and this will just be like it's a fun little sandbox for Ultramarines players because that's apparently the only people Games Workshop want to cater to at all, and that's just where we are. And the maelstrom will be here is fucking Huron Blackheart. Give us money.
They're not reintroducing Blackheart and Prince Uriel for them to fucking die.
No.
What more do you want me to say?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
No. I like the theme of what they're going for. I like the fact that, pirates, Prince Uriel, bring him back. Okay, right.
Yeah, I don't hate...
What are you going to do with it?
Like everything we've been discussing on this episode here, most of the premises are... You can work with them, I think it's safe to say, right?
Yeah.
Some are stronger than others, for sure. But the premises themselves aren't the problem.
No. I think that's fair enough. That's fair to say. The premises themselves are... And sometimes they can be a bit bad.
Yeah,
On the nose.
for sure.
Uh,
For sure.
but in general, no, they're not the problem.
Yeah, but I think
So-
even our suggestions salvage them quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've jumped a little ahead of ourselves though, because you still have the 4th Tyrannic War to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's shift gears back.
So anyway,
I was fishing for you guys to share some insight on how you would like that to be handled. How can we
Leviathan
enhance it? How
is
can we
back.
enhance that?
Hive Fleet Leviathan is back. Remember Leviathan? You guys got a better color scheme? Some new color scheme maybe? A different Hive Fleet that does something different? No, it's just Leviathan. They just somehow Leviathan returned.
They're the marketing face, right? You can't.
You already had, was it Leviathan for Devastation of Baal?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so they've been on the box
So
art
what,
since
you couldn't do Behemoth
sixth.
or Kraken or something, or
Behemoth
you
would
know,
be
like-
cooler if you're trying to like hype up this starter box versus Ultramarines on the cover. 100%.
so like because they've done like the Behemoth thing before. I just spitball on it. Different Hive Fleet. I know it's kind of crazy, but remember how in the past they would actually try like there'd be a new color scheme. Like here is a new thing introduced. Like Dawn of War. Here is Blood Ravens. Who the fuck are Blood Ravens? Wasn't Ultramarines. Like.
Right.
Could you maybe have made a new Hive Fleet instead of just here's an old Hive Fleet back for more?
They definitely
'Cause
could have.
It's more threatening if you have more Hive Fleets because it shows that it is more vast than you thought. Like there are varieties that are yet to be encountered. It would make sense maybe that you're seeing like Von Ryan's Leapers for the first time and things like that and all these other new Tyranid creatures that we've seen, because that's this particular Hive Fleet. And instead it's just like, well, this is all the stuff that Leviathan didn't use last time they were here. I guess.
It's such sad spin.
I'm sure there's some really cool schemes like the Coconut Crab scheme, but that would be beyond new painters. But there are plenty of cool schemes people have come up with for Tyranids that they could have tried instead and done a new Hive Fleet with a new type of strategy. Just putting it out there. Like that is probably the only way you could make it interesting.
They made, with the release of that box, a few new color schemes. I'll put them on screen and I'll share them with you guys in chat here. And the color schemes aren't bad, like the newer ones they did. Some of them have some real appeal. I'll put it on screen and I'll send it to you guys in chat. Like, it's a bit more on the advanced side, but it is more interesting just from a narrative point of view, right? Take one of these new Hive Fleets that don't just call them unknown, right? And just kind of evolve the Tyranids a bit further, right? Time has gone forward. Every few editions, it seems. Well, that's
not too dissimilar to my Hive Fleet Geist. Like,
nice.
GH. Yeah. Geist with a GH. Yeah. You've got to have a cool name for your Hive Fleet, right?
Oh,
What's
for
your
sure.
Hive Fleet called?
Oh, I called mine Gengar after the Pokemon. Tongue-in-cheek reference. It's very serious in lore, and I treat it seriously. But the color scheme and some of the themes
More
are
fucking
ghastly.
serious than unknown.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I like these, these two new ones here that are labeled unknown. I think there's something interesting in Tyranids if they're always shifting poster boys every few editions. It kind of feels as if the hive mind is evolving new strains and more tendrils of the hive mind, right? Of the swarm. I think that's a compelling narrative framing device for them. But I understand from a branding point of view it's not ideal, right? But
who knows Leviathan? Who actually knows Hive Fleet Leviathan?
Oh, most people don't, but...
Yeah, it's an old people thing.
It's but it's a...
There you go.
It's what they recognize on the shelf, right?
Top left, the black and yellow one, like the wasp sort of color pattern.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Down and to the left of that with the sort of teal colored carapace.
Oh, like a Tiamat style? I like that too.
Yeah. Like either of those two is just the right sort of colors to be flashy enough for people getting into the hobby, but not too difficult to paint.
Yeah, the black and yellow one looks really nice. That would pop.
Because that's just a contrast paint, yellow contrast paint, and then just black contrast paint over the carapace. And you're 90% of the way there on that one. Same as like the one to its left. That's like what Nighthaunt Gloom basically all over, and then just a contrast again on the carapace. So it's like those are easy schemes, different to what you've got, and pop. Especially the black and yellow one, though, I think would be very easy because that reminds me of some of the old Tyranids out of White Dwarf Bat Reps, like Phil Kelly's Tyranids back in the day, with like the yellow splotches on their carapace, like a wasp. You know, and you could probably, you know, what's the fucking scientific name for a wasp?
Oh yeah, I see where you're going with this. Yep, that's a good idea.
You know, like just find a really cool wasp name and just that's your that's
The high fleet, high fleet.
Vespula, 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 High Fleet Vespula. There you go.
Oh, it sounds believable to me.
So, and that's your a nice black and yellow wasp, and it's like that's it. That's your High Fleet done and dusted, right? New color, new High Fleet, new tactics, new nids.
Yeah, it seems like that's probably the most satisfying thing you could do with the fourth Tyrannic War. Because every Tyrannic War thus far has had a new high fleet, right? It was Behemoth, Kraken, then Leviathan for 3, right? And then...
Yeah, because this isn't the fourth Tyrannic War, is it really? It's
the same one.
What was Leviathan? They were the second...
Were they the second? I thought they were the third.
Because was it Kraken that was the one that came up from below the galactic plane? Or was that Leviathan? One of them came from, like, fucking sideways. I forget. It's been like 20 odd years since that fluff. But yeah, new High Fleet, new Tyranid models. Like it's very easy to do this way. Otherwise, if it's Leviathan again, it's like, well, where was this last time we saw Leviathan? So I don't know.
Yeah, I just did a little bit of verification. Behemoth was the first, Kraken, then Leviathan was for third and fourth now. So it would actually be much more compelling if you had a new High Fleet for a fourth Tyrannic War. Excellent point. I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing's been destroyed, right? So no planets that we care about have fallen. No characters that we care about have died.
Well, you know what might have been more interesting? Dare I suggest? What if 500 Worlds was the culmination of the fourth Tyrannic War? And we actually had some payoff, right? That it's reached all the way to Ultramar, right? That it's been going on all edition long. I felt so blindsided by focusing on Necrons.
Well, I want to say it's member berries, because remember Ultramarines, remember Tyrannic War Veterans, remember Tyranids, but it's a different High Fleet. Because it was Behemoth. So it's like, well, why didn't you bring back Behemoth? Oh, you prefer the color scheme of Leviathan.
It does feel that way.
Because Behemoth doesn't sound as good on a starter set. Like Warhammer 40,000, Behemoth. People just be like, huh? Whereas Leviathan, that sounds cool. So, you know, like, I'm guessing that's all it is, just the color scheme and the marketing. So, like, whereas Behemoth, it's like, it's the classic rematch, right? But it's like, can the Ultramarines do better this time out? Will the first company survive? Tune in for the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. But
right.
they don't do anything with it. So it doesn't matter. And like, if you're going to do Tyrannic War, well, the problem is we've been saturated with a glut of boring fucking Ultramarines for a decade now. Because it's been the decade of Blue, the decade of the Smurfs. So you don't really want to see them bring back Tyrannic War Veterans, because it's like, oh great, another fucking Ultramarine unit. When Tyrannic War Veterans were one of the coolest things Ultramarines had going. Like, you go back to 4th edition Codex, they were the must-have. Honor Guard, and Tyrannic War Veterans. 2 units you must buy if you're playing.
Oh, it's a great way to characterize them uniquely. But now that you have this
Yeah.
glut of characters, this pantheon, if you will, right? It's like
Yeah, so
it's a harder
they should
sell.
have been brought back as a kill team. There should have been a Tyrannic War kill team.
It's a great idea, actually.
Tyrannic War Veterans are in that kill team, fighting, of all things, Tyranids. You know, you could have had your Von Ryan Leapers in that instead. You know, because that'd be a good matchup. It sells itself.
It's almost like introducing these things. They don't always have to happen in 40k. They can happen in Kill Team. Wouldn't that be cool? If something new for 40k was introduced for Kill Team. So yeah, these things are in the lore now, and that's because these kill teams come across them in this one world over here. That'd be pretty cool.
You know, it'd be really fun. Tyranid's invasion actually hits Catachan. And you have
That's
like
the
Catachan
dream.
jungle fighters fucking fighting Tyranids in the jungle.
So cool.
Like, you don't even have to make models for it realistically. You can just mention in the book that fucking happens. And just let the audience make the fun. Because when you think of Catachan, you think of them fighting Tyranid like things in the Death World of Catachan. So it's like, it'd be perfect. You know, maybe even a bit of a resurgence to encourage people to do like Catachan conversions on their Cadian pattern, whose planet was blown up, but didn't fucking matter because you wouldn't know that their planet was gone because they're still fucking around.
Yeah, they're in animations, Cadia's, and getting models still.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Everything comes.
But we do run the risk if we do that of making the Tyranids seem like more of a joke than they already are. Because they failed Ultramar, they failed at Baal. They're not going to take Catachan. Catachan will just laugh at them. People, as you just said, people will be there going, "Oh, it's Tuesday," you know, like no one's going to care. That's my only drawback for that. Tyranids need to win a big one. They need to eat something huge, and like get rid of it from the setting.
Well, it's not in the line of fire, Catachan, right? That's because they talk about the tendrils. So the Hive fleets always have tendrils.
Yeah, you can have
on the way. Catachan should be one of those worlds.
You can have a rogue asteroid of lictors or gene stealers or leapers, Von Ryan leapers on Catachan. I think for the enough for them to contend with, but it's not a whole Hive fleet. They don't have synapse, right? It's just there's no overmind. I find the concept compelling. So I'd like to have it if we can, if we're wish listing.
And if we're still wish listing, have them like miss worlds along the way, and that's like the Imperium like clues on those are Necron worlds. That's why they're fucking avoiding them, and then have them hit the tower. Because it gives the tower something to do. And they're a good antithesis faction for the tower. Can't be reasoned with, can't be bargained with. Very close combat heavy versus the tower's very Daka heavy. And the tower approach to fighting the Tyranids is different to other factions, where it's like they try and get them to do disadvantageous mutations. It's like, that's a lot of fun you can have with that all the way.
Great point.
So and if you have the tower actually defeating them, it tells you, it gives them something to do in the fucking setting, the tower, because it's like they're expanding in these spheres, and then they're just sort of like going nowhere, like the spheres.
Oh yeah, that's another
expansion
one.
Just seem to just sort of sit still, really, like until 2 or 3 editions time we'll do another codex, and there's a 4th expansion. So it's like you need a reason why the tower getting like struggling beyond their warp drive tech isn't good enough. Like, okay, what else you got? Like, they'll get around that eventually. Humans did. Whether they find it some gateway or who knows what, right? Or other Xenos help them, or they make friends with the Xenos faction that becomes part of the Tau Empire that is able to give them additional technology to give them better, faster than light travel, whatever it might be, right? A good way to say that the Tau are hemmed in is to have a Hive fleet hit them head on.
Yeah,
and it's like the entire fucking Tau Empire is just has fought Tyranids before, but now they're fighting a Tyranid Hive fleet, like a big one, head on.
That's
As
great.
like the Ultramarines of the 500 world could just be on the fucking periphery of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you get Ultramarines are still involved, but you're not as fatigued by fucking Ultramarines are involved. And instead you can have like the Tau trying to deal with it, and then you've got like the far side enclaves dealing with it in their own separate way. And it just explains why the Tau are not really doing much of the scheme of the galaxy. And it gets that sub faction, it gives the players of that faction something to fucking do.
I like that a lot, and I actually kind of wish that was the status quo for how the Tau sit in the setting. Like, especially if you consider like Tyranids are one of the most psychic, can be one of the most psychic factions in the game, right? And that's so again another antithesis point opposed to the Tau. It's great.
Like, I'm not trying to shit on Games Workshop for the sake of it. I'm trying to like say why things don't work and what we could do different along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't mean I talk a lot here, but it's like, well, this is why it's shit, and here's how it can be better. And it's like, if I can come up with these things in an episode like this, why can't Games Workshop, when they're actually actively throwing money at developing these ideas, like they're gonna spend actual resources on them, like, and that then makes me more upset.
Yeah, it's more
hey,
frustrating.
why aren't they?
I'll be completely honest. Like, I'm so sick of them. I probably am doing it just for the sake of it at this point. Yeah, all right, well, because then again, like I've this is why I was telling people to divorce them from your hobby, because there's only so much of your passion you can throw into something when the company behind it is literally undermining everything that you could ever have that is good about the setting, about what's going on. Comes a point you just got to go, all right, well, fuck it then. I'll go do my own with blackjack and hookers. See you later. Horrid. Just horrid. And and again, nobody wants them to fail. Like, this is the issue. Like, I can be very frustrated with my brother because he's retarded and he just keeps doing stupid shit. But I still want him to succeed. I want him to get better. And that's never going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
But there comes a point where I'm sick of hearing about him and I don't want to talk about him anymore. And, it's that old phrase of, I've had friends where, they will literally be sitting in a hole of depression and you give them a way out and they just don't want to do it. And there comes a time you've just got to walk away and go, okay, well, that's where you are. I will be here when you get out. I've done what I can for you and I'm still here for you. But that's what we're going to... That's Games Workshop. That's them. They don't want to come out. And that's just where they are. Literally, it's just where they are. They don't want to get out. Their writing's terrible. They're there just to make you buy the models, and that's fine. And it's exhausting. It really is exhausting. Like they do my head in, because these are not complex problems to solve. If three wankers on YouTube can just get together and solve these problems we're all mates. We waffle together a lot, right? Because we go off topic, whatever. If we really stuck to it, I reckon we could have solved all these issues in like 45 minutes. If we really went for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
if we can do that, why can't they do that?
And it costs them nothing extra to do it. That's the thing that pisses you off, because it's like you're actively paying to develop the product. You're paying an author to write these books. You're paying staff to brainstorm these ideas and come up with the models. You could do a better job. You're just actively choosing not to, and it's not because it's cheaper. You're just choosing not to because
it's more expensive to fuck it up.
Yeah.
You're paying these people.
So then, what's the logical conclusion? Why aren't they doing it? It's just not a priority. I would guess.
It's not a priority.
They get rewarded. They get rewarded regardless.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why it's
they
exhausting.
avatar it. They avatar.
That's why.
They avatar it.
That's why it's so exhausting. That's why I've said to people to just walk away, do your own thing, because it's never going to change, because they're always going to make money. They're going to make money because think about like wrestling back in the day. Vince McMahon would make money despite himself, not because his product was so hot that even if he fucked it up royally, the WWE still had that marketing brand and it would always make money. Right? 40K is similar. It's too big to fail. It's huge. It doesn't matter what they do, it will always make money. So if you really don't like it, the only recourse you have is to take Warhammer, take 40k, get your mates around you, and go and do your own club, go and do your own thing.
Yeah.
That's the only recourse you have now, because they're not going to change. They're just not. And anyone who still carries fighting this bloody crusade, wasting everybody's time, it's just no. We could do with all of you putting that effort into building something we can all play and have fun with, right? Or at the bare minimum, something like the Exile verse, where you just rewrite it so people can actually get some catharsis out of this fucking setting that we built together. You know, it's just their priorities are not writing coherent lore. And to a degree, I understand that, because, yeah, you're there to make models, you're there to make money. Does lore help you do that? Of course it does. But the setting's too big to fail now. It's like, it's the black holes reach critical mass, right? So you don't need to keep adding density to the black hole anymore. It's done. All you need to do is just keep letting shit fall in, and it's fine, you know? As Mac has said before, lore is not their priority. And it comes across every time they do this, because if you want a prime example, as I said before, why it isn't a priority, device, key, lock. There you go. Like, Maelstrom will happen. It's literally a vehicle to sell you this new Huron Blackheart model. That's it. And Uriel. That's it. That's literally why that's there. There's a reason why they don't really do novels at all, or campaign sets at all, for models they don't sell, or models that they haven't sold in a while.
100%. Yeah.
You know, it's always models that either bringing out or that already exist. Those are the ones that are in these stories. Nobody else gets a look in. You know. I mean, when was the time you heard about Eisenhorn or whatever? Yeah. Those models, those novels are gone. You know, we get the odd Dan Abnett one. Dan Abnett gets to write those novels because he's Dan Abnett. That's the only reason. They've got him on retainer because he can write those novels. It's his little story, Pandemonium and the King in Yellow and all that. You know, those guys don't have models, but that's Dan Abnett. Everybody else, even ADB and guys like that, don't write novels unless there's models. That shows you where they are.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, I'm largely in agreement with that. I've shared, like... That's basically my stance, generally. I think there is a couple outliers if I'm gonna, like, really, like, play Defense Force, right? Like Dawn of Fire doesn't really have models. I mean, they made a Black Library Anniversary model off of one of those guys, but
I mean, yeah, but
I wouldn't count
Gilliman
that.
appears in that, though, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He's across several of those books. I mean, there's some of those books.
That's my point.
Okay, fair enough.
You know,
yeah. There's.
My point is, there's no novel I can point to out there.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Where a model doesn't exist recently, right? That's not written by Dan Abnett. Dan Abnett, yeah, Eisenhorn, he is a model, but it's from ages ago. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and all those things. But he's in his own little bracket, because if they don't keep him sweet, he will just go right for Marvel and they'll lose him. You know, that kind of a thing.
Right.
Everybody else, like, no, your every character, not every character, but your novel has to be centered on things we can sell. If it's not, it doesn't get written. Simple as. And that's all they are. That's all lore is a vehicle to sell your models. And I get why.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But I also, as Maka said before, I think you can do both. I think you can write lore to sell models and write good lore.
Absolutely.
I don't think they're mutually exclusive. You know, and I think that's the big takeaway from this episode. Actually, when you know, being here for the whole thing is, you know, these two things don't need to be mutually exclusive. You can write good lore that also sells your models. You don't just need to write a glorified catalog in a book in which nothing happens, because it's engineered that way. Because you're frightened of upsetting the people who might buy those models. It's just, don't read 40k. If you want to get better at writing, or you want to enjoy a novel, don't read 40k. because nothing happens. It's like reading a 40k book is like being starving and then eating a McDonald's meal, and then 20 minutes later going, fucking starving again. Right? I thought I enjoyed that novel, but like I'm unfulfilled. I don't feel like anything's happened. Nothing's changed. Well, you know, like that's how they get you. They get you with the spectacle. Isn't this cool? Gilliman's fighting, or the lion's beating up Angron again. You know, like all this stuff's going on, and then you finish it and go, cool. Right. So what? Actually, no, nothing happened. There was nothing of substance there at all. You know, it's the literary version of going to a Chinese buffet and them trying to fill you up on rice so you don't eat the good stuff. Right? This is it. That's what this is. It tastes nice, but you're hungry afterwards. There's nothing of substance there.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Anyway, I'll shut up. I've ranted enough.
No,
about
it's
that, sorry.
no need to apologize. It's hard to disagree. I mean, look, we've gone through the whole list of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sharing critiques and suggestions, constructive ones, right? So I think we've reached a natural endpoint in this one, and it's quite a hefty Grimdark therapy. Like 2 hours plus deep. Yeah, that's true. You guys feel good about wrapping up now? Any?
Sure.
Yeah.
No good.
All right. Well, thanks to you two for joining me for this one, as always. And any
No problem, man.
any plugs for your channels? Things coming in down the pipe? You want to relay?
Maka, do you want to go?
Well, I've got a couple of topics to tackle soon. One is people who are just wedded to the Games Workshop ecosystem and won't even countenance anything else. I also want to cover, I've sort of covered, I guess what you would call ethos recently.
That video did not go where I thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
Like, when I clicked on that, I was like, okay, oh. All right, cool.
Another one I want to cover is just the perversion of some people in the community, because it's very real and it's hidden behind that veneer of, you know, it's my hobby, or it's my thing, or it's a free country, or who are you to judge someone else's moral character? But it's whatever your excuse is here for some really fucking degenerate behavior.
You're having Mike Brooks on. That's nice. Cool.
Yeah, I'm.
I think that'll be a good one.
I'm not looking forward to it necessarily. I'm just making the videos I think need to be done.
This is we're just imagining like Maka getting a scuba diving suit on, but like, yeah, I'm going into this cesspit here. I'm gonna dive in and see where we are.
Well, it just seems to, everyone knows it's happening. Nobody wants to discuss it.
Yeah. No, I'm
I don't want to discuss it, but it's like it kind of needs to be discussed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone knows about that creepy guy in the local store, right? You know what his fucking deal is. Nobody wants to talk about it because he's harmless as long as he doesn't do anything there, right? There's a fucking problem. There is such a thing as overall acceptance.
That's less of a problem in Games Workshop stores. I will say that, because they are one thing they are good at is scouting these people out and cutting them out like infected tissue. Like they are very, very good at it, because they have to be, because there are kids around and they will get sued.
Yeah.
One of them.
Unfortunately, though, the internet is a bigger place.
It is, yes, and normal stores don't police it as virulently as they should, especially smaller ones, because they don't need to, because they're not a big corporation. But yeah, looking forward to that. It's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, well.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Sorry.
I've got stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
got, like,
plug away. Do your
I've
thing.
got like Hobby Nightmares, 40k rants. Had a few really big ones just come out pretty recently, which has been really, really good. When we've had female custodians going on and all sorts. So yeah, I think today is. Tomorrow is, depending on when you put this up, Kaifa, Wednesday will be, what is it? I think, oh, will 40k survive the mainstream, or can it survive the mainstream? That'll be Wednesday. So, yeah, fun stuff.
Awesome. Sounds good, guys. I think next Grimdark Therapy is on Outer Circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
On Micah's channel.
So. Yeah.
So that's something for the Grimdark Therapy enjoyers to look forward to. There's at least a couple. At
I could
least.
finally get around to that topic I've had for ages, which is print media pointless?
I forgot about that one.
Yep.
I'll look forward to that as well.
Yep. Nice, easy one.
Alrighty, guys. Well, let's wrap this one up. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Well, that's a wrap on this collaborative hobby chat. If you enjoyed this video, there are buttons for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And as always, a special thanks to Julius Maximus, as well as my other generous patrons and channel members. Patrons and channel members get early access to videos. Just a little something for those who help keep the dream alive. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.